Another somber greetings and salutations from me, DC. I'm a 2-time MLM dropout, and we are again looking at unlicensed therapy advice from Ashlie Molstad. This is week 2 from her month-long course. This could be problematic. Please make sure that you take heed of the trigger warnings at the beginning of the video. This video is inappropriately called, I guess appropriate because we know it's going to be full of fluffery, but inappropriately titled Uncovering Your Why Behind the Bite plus live coaching. You are so forewarned. Let's roll the disclaimer and we will be right back to start in on this. And we're back. Who is Ashlie Molstad? I first found her because the Snark crew and I, Amy, Jen, Cheryl, and Amber, were snarking, are snarking. Life has gotten busy, but we ran into her first last year. She was a 2-time top, I think the #1 in the company for a few years. She fell a little bit because, she was coasting. And then she has delved into the coaching space, the unqualified coaching space. No, not physical training, mental self-help coaching fluffery. And it sure does look like unlicensed therapy advice, but you can decide for yourself. I am going to be turning this on 1.25 speed so that we can get out of here today. It's an hour and 47 minutes. Nobody's going to get back. So let's go. Sound. We're just waiting.
2,000 years later.
Okay, she's just singing out. Okay, forward.
Eternity later.
Why chat is disabled.
This happened last week. Did we not learn from our mistakes? If you see the time counter, I'm like literally just trying to scrub forward so we can start seeing the coaching stuff.
Is the chat working? You guys drop it in the chat. Say hey. Oh, there we go. Hi.
Turn the music off so we don't get booted off of YouTube.
Yay. We're cooking. Let's get started. Yeah? I want to hop right into it because I like to be respectful of time and I want to maximize our time together. Can you guys hear?
You want to be respectful of our time together? What about last week when you only got to 2 people to coach?
Me. Everything's good.
We can hear you in the sense that it sounds like there's a sledgehammer being taken to our ears right now because you choose not to have a microphone on this Zoom call that people paid for.
Yes. Someone said, love the shirt. Someone says, I hear you, Taylor. Okay, you guys can hear everything. So, welcome to week 2. I have been getting blown away. Someone said, let's fucking go. By your guys's response to this group and the changes that you're seeing. And right now, you're probably in this overwhelmed place. And so I just want to level set with you that is normal. When you
being overwhelmed because we're dealing with an unlicensed, self-proclaimed therapist. She calls herself a life coach, but what she did in last week's call, inappropriate. Oh yeah, you being overwhelmed because I made you overwhelmed? Perfectly normal. Thank you for the clarity. Appreciate that.
We've never been taught how much power we have over our thoughts, over our life, over our reality, right? And when we start seeing how our thoughts are truly creating the life that we're living, are truly creating our experiences, and it's not the people or the things or whatever, things outside of us, it's exciting because it's like, okay, I can change things, but it's also overwhelming because it can feel like a very daunting task. And it also feels very, very hard. Your brain has been acting in one way for its whole life, right? And now,
doesn't it control like all of the body's functions? The brain controls how we think, learn, move, and feel. The spinal cord carries messages back and forth between the brain and the nerves that run through the body. Look at this. Look at this nifty slide. Class is apparently in session because I can't remember what the brain does in the body.
Our pathways. If you remember from last week, our primal brain is motivated by three things. It's motivational triad: to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and exert as little energy as possible. And
do I need to bring the slide back? Is she talking about like metaphorically? I don't understand. Can somebody help me? The brain controls most of the functions of the body, including awareness, movement, thinking, speech, and the five senses of seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, and smelling. You know what's wild? You think you know something, and then you spend a year and change listening to multi-level marketers twist science, and then you start questioning yourself about what you actually know. Because I never thought I'd be here being so nervous and confused about what the brain does. I'm scared to press play.
And rewiring neural pathways, creating new habits and thought patterns is not staying in the same boat. That is requiring energy and effort. So your brain is going to get noisy. It is going to offer you your old ways of thinking and coping, because it's like, listen, we've done this. This has worked forever. We're fine. We don't need to change anything. Because remember, our primal brain doesn't care about thriving or if we're happy. Our primal brain cares.
There was somebody who left a comment on the last video of Ashlie Molstad and saying that the primal brain had been debunked or something like that. A theory abandoned but still compelling. This is from the Yale School of Medicine. I think that's probably pretty trustworthy. A theory abandoned but still compelling. Yale School of Medicine. Paul MacLean believed that the neocortex was a relatively late development in the mammalian lineage, but there is now a consensus that homologs of this structure exist in simple fish and even insects. In 1977, readers were enthralled by The Dragons of Eden, a book by the astronomer Carl Sagan, and explored the evolution of the human brain. Dragons won the 1978 Pulitzer Prize for general nonfiction and helped to launch Sagan's celebrity as a spokesperson for science in the 1980s. The real star of the book, however, was a theory of human neural organization that took root some 30 years earlier in writings by Paul D. MacLean, MD, a class of 40. MacLean, who died last December at age 94, was a highly original, some say eccentric, thinker whose model of the triune brain, though now discredited, has had a lasting cultural impact. Paul never traveled with the herd, said Thomas R. Insel, MD, director of the National Institute of Mental Health, who worked alongside MacLean for 10 years at the Laboratory of Brain Evolution and Behavior in Poolside. Insel remembers his colleague as irreverent and uninhibited. MacLean once roamed through a room, Insel recalled, feeling the scalps of visiting scientists to ascertain the presence or absence of a skull protuberance he had deemed an important factor in the evolution of human intelligence. The beginnings of MacLean's theory appeared in a 1949 paper just as he joined the faculty of the School of Medicine as an assistant professor of physiology, with a joint appointment in psychiatry. After conducting electroencephalographic recordings in patients with psychosomatic illnesses and epilepsy at Massachusetts General Hospital, MacLean had become convinced that the emotional components of these disorders were seated in deep brain structures that he called the visceral brain, and renamed the limbic system in 1952, which included the hippocampus, amygdala, and cingulate gyrus. Since all mammals possess variants of these structures, MacLean concluded that they are phylogenetically ancient and that the emotional responses they produce are only weakly regulated by such newer human structures as the neocortex. Our affectionate behavior continues to be dominated by a relatively crude and primitive system, he wrote. 20 years later, MacLean rounded out his picture of the triune, 3-in-1 brain by adding what he termed the R complex for reptilian structures in the brain's core and brain stem that govern basic survival functions to the neocortical and limbic systems he had defined previously. The theory saw its fullest expression in MacLean's 1990 magnum opus, The Triune Brain in Evolution, which was based on wide-ranging anatomical studies of brains in animals as diverse as alligators and monkeys. In its casting of a cognitively sophisticated neocortex, unable to fully restrain the primal emotional responses of the limbic system, MacLean's model was a neuroanatomical cousin to Freud's tripartite view of the mind, with its warring superego and id. The theory's conceptual beauty and intuitive appeal lent it enormous staying power. It is still covered in many textbooks and course lectures in biological psychology. But according to Terence Deacon, PhD, an expert on the evolution of human cognition at the University of California, Berkeley, subsequent research has revealed that MacLean's basic premise, his hats on top of hats view, that brain systems were added by accretion over the course of evolution, was mistaken. Adding on is almost certainly not the way the brain has evolved, said Deacon. Instead, the same structures have become modified in different ways in different lineages. Nonetheless, Deacon said the force of MacLean's personality gave his ideas a special resonance. His death represents the passing of an era because he was really the model of the move towards understanding the brain in evolutionary terms, said Deacon. A lot of our contemporary advances ride on top of his work, even though in hindsight it was misleading. That happens a lot in the sciences, and we don't often give credit to the false starts that really push us along the way. Are you still here? Did I read too long? I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm just, making my way through this video and listening to the comments and saying what the hell's going on, and then reading stuff like this and wondering how Ashlie got over 700 people. I mean, for sure 600, because that's what she said, and got them to believe her stuff, and then they're continuing to come back for her advice.
Thriving, or if we're happy, our primal brain cares that we're alive, and we're alive. We might not be thriving and like truly living, but we're alive. So the brain's like, cool, I'm doing my job. So if you're feeling a little overwhelmed and kind of like, I just remember when I started doing this, it just felt like so much, like I had so much work to do because I was so unhappy in so many areas. And it felt like easier in some sense to be like, I'm not the problem. The problem's out there. If you act different, if I make more money, if my body size is different, then I'll be happy. If this stuff does the work, I'll be fine. But it's actually us that has to do the work. And it just felt like so much work. So I want to normalize that for you, that if you're feeling it, that's a normal part of this process. Because it's asking a lot of yourself. It's asking a lot from your brain.
Here's my question. How are we going to trust that Ashlie is giving us good advice when what she is teaching is based off things that have been debunked? Does anybody have a science book we can send? That's a joke. That's a joke. That's a joke. No one's touching the poop. We're just wondering where the science is hiding. That's all I'm wondering.
So let's know that. Yeah, you can raise your hand now for life coaching if you want. All right. So this week, we're diving into intentional nutrition. And I know some of you, wrote in before you enrolled saying, I don't have an issue with nutrition, and so I don't know if this is going to be helpful for me, but I still want to cover it because I think it's a super common issue for a lot of us. And even if it's not nutrition itself isn't a struggle for you, I think that there'll still be some thought work that might come up for you on this call that you can then apply in whatever other areas of your life you need it, right?
There were people that asked her the question, hey, I don't really need help with eating or making food decisions. I have a great relationship with food. Is this course still going to be helpful? And she dedicated an entire week to this section, even though there were people that said, hey, you know what? I don't need help with this. And now she's saying, hey, you know what? Those people, y'all who said you didn't need help with the food, I think y'all still can pick up some of this and apply it to other areas of your life. And literally, the video is talking about intentional eating.
So I wanted to kind of walk you through my journey with nutrition. And I did this a little bit in the emails this week, but when I started...
Should we do a video? Should we do a part 5 where I just read the emails that she sent out? Because they're wild. As someone who made over 60 and I'm sure over $70,000 from this course, I would expect the person making the money and sending these emails out to maybe have taken more care in the words that were chosen. That's all I'm going to say for now. Let me know in the comments if you want to do a fifth episode with the emails, because you're not going to believe what they say.
You get born onto the planet, and your hunger is a very innate and strong need. Your body knows to ask for when it's hungry. It knows to stop when it's full. It doesn't need to learn that, right? And then as you grow up.
Some people don't have some of those, what do they call it, signals because of genetics. No? You're not going to talk about that? Maybe she is. Maybe she is.
You're observing the world and you're seeing people comment on food, right? You're observing your mom like talking, oh, I'm so bad for eating this. You're observing her saying diet starts Monday. You're observing the women in your life talking about
villainizing women. Good job, Ashlie.
What they're eating and how they want to lose weight. You're observing people saying, oh, I'm being really good today. No, I'm not going to have the cupcake. Mommy's not going to have that at your birthday party because I'm dieting. And it's all very normalized. You're observing men comment on women's body. You're observing as you're going through the grocery store, pictures of women's bodies.
I'm not going to deny that there's a whole industry that makes money off of telling women that they are not as they should look, and that these industries make a crap ton of money because of that commentary, and it seeps down and really has a negative impact on a ton of people's lives. And not just women experience that. But go on, Ashlie, tell us more.
And critiques of women's body. You're observing celebrities
and I'm sorry, I forgot this. Ashlie Molstad is an independent coach with Beachbody, now called Body, and their tagline used to be "Look good naked." You're still a part of that. You're still part of that group of people who make money off of shaming people for their body size. And you're also an affiliate with TrimFit, which is a supplement that helps you lose weight. I'm just confused at why we're having this conversation right now, and why Ashlie feels she is the person to have this conversation with us.
Touted for the baby bounce back and weight loss and people gaining a tiny amount of weight and then being called fat. Like, you're just taking in the world around you. So we all have a very convoluted relationship with food. And it makes so much sense. So, I was born normal, as we all were. And then I feel like I don't remember having a lot of body insecurity until I remember being aware of my body in high school and wishing. I remember just being insecure about my calves for a lot of it, but it wasn't really a thing for me. I didn't start dieting until college. And then college, I became hyper aware of it. I would go to the gym every day. I wouldn't leave until the machines added up to 1,000 calories burned. I counted calories. I counted macros.
Interestingly enough, Ashlie's pretending to be a therapist. No, she doesn't say she's pretending to be a therapist. I think that what she is doing fits some of the characteristics of what a therapist would do, and she doesn't prevent herself from, delving into territory she shouldn't be in. There were no trigger warnings that she gave for this call. I just wish she cared a little bit more about the people maybe in this group who are struggling with that, and to, she thinks everyone's mentally in a good spot to hear this story. Most therapists don't share their personal stories in a session, and yet here we are listening to Ashlie Molstad again tell us a story about herself.
All kinds of fitness experts and people that did fitness competitions. I tried every diet under the sun, just really feeling like I needed to find the thing that was going to be easy and have me lose the weight that I finally needed to lose, which asterisk here, I never had really weight to lose. I've always been around this size, except for my pregnancies. And yet still, I was always on a diet. And I was either on plan, where I was very restrictive and said no, and I was white knuckling it, right? It was like walking a tightrope. It was either perfect or complete failure. And I did that for a while. And it really led me into a deep shame spiral. I hated myself. And I think I talked about this last week, that I have learned since that the reason I said I need to lose weight was because it was way easier for my brain to have an issue with my body than for me, my brain to have an issue like me itself. I am the problem versus my body's the problem. So I'm unhappy. I'm not making the money I want. I'm not having the relationships. I'm not living the life I want because I'm overweight or because I don't have a six pack. Because I was never overweight, but I didn't, and so it was so much easier to say that my body's the problem. And this actually was an epiphany for me when I was with a client one-on-one, and she was talking, she had this goal to lose 50 pounds. And I would check in with her, how did it go this week? How's your weight loss goal? No, not great. And so we started just digging in, like, why isn't it great? Why aren't you able to follow through on the commitments that you make to yourself? And what we ended up realizing was because she wanted to lose the weight. She was single and she wanted to lose the weight so that she could be in a relationship.
Oh.
But she inherently felt unlovable. And so she was not actually compelled to lose weight because her brain was protecting her from the ultimate rejection, which is you're not lovable. And right now you're not in a relationship because you're overweight. But when you lose the weight and you lose the 50 pounds, you're still not going to be lovable. And then you'll just be left with you. You are the problem. So her brain was protecting her from.
I wish it was just as easy as like picking up a phone and calling a therapist and saying, is this bullshit that she is spewing for us right now? In my opinion, you can bring reasoning to things. That doesn't necessarily mean that is why and how you are the way you are.
Losing the weight, it was kind of keeping the weight as armor. And, and so we got into like her relationship with her mom and growing up and all of that. And it was so insightful, but it was also insightful for me to be like, oh, I think I was probably blaming my insecurities on my body when it was really a lack of love and respect for myself. Like I didn't like who I was. So I was like, my body's the issue. That was something that I felt like I could fix. And it was also probably
So all people who are not the size that you think they're supposed to be don't love and respect themselves? The logic doesn't play out here. That's one thing to maybe find some meaning and be able to find things to process through when you're talking to a client. But every single time she brings up one of these stories, I'm just wondering to myself, you are telling us that you are the life coach. You're the one that's supposed to be helping people. And yet it seems like you're just waiting to hear these tidbits for yourself when you're talking to people who actually need good help and they're not getting it from you. Oh my God, we're only 10 minutes in.
Brain trying to protect me. All right. Can anyone relate to this? Does this resonate with you where you're like, I could see that. Like maybe I am holding on to this weight for a reason, right? It's not
just because your brain can make a connecting bridge to something doesn't mean that bridge should be there. Just because I can say, that person did something awful. They're wearing a red shirt. People who wear red shirts are awful.
For a reason, right? I'm not actually compelled to lose it because this weight keeps me safe. And realizing that like, if it's not the weight that's the problem, if I was at my goal weight, would I then like myself? And what happens if I'm still not making money or living in the house or driving the car or in the relationship or looking, whatever, getting the things that I want? What happens if I lose the weight and I still don't live the life that my brain has been telling me is waiting for me once I lose the weight? So you're keeping the weight on because that's it's like way harder work to do to really love and appreciate yourself. And that's what we're here to do. So one is to bring awareness to that.
Just because that could be true in one situation, potentially. I'm not saying, and I can't comment on the truth or I guess the veracity of that statement because I don't know the person she's talking about. I'm just listening to Ashlie tell this and convince a whole bunch of people watching this video that she's going to help them with their stuff and their intentionality with eating. When one, she's not a registered dietitian. She shouldn't be in this territory either. Two, she's not a licensed therapist.
That it's actually not your body that's the problem. It's your brain. It always has been, right? So then
some people's bodies is the problem. No, you don't know that? What?
As I realized that I really was like eating myself, and that's kind of main pillar of the diet culture messaging. Like, they want you to stay insecure. They want you to be afraid of food. That's why the number one rule of any diet you ever start is get that food out of the house.
Carl Deichler. Oh, I'll do this. I'll do this right now. Paging Carl Deichler and Autumn Calabrese for a fight in aisle 3. Autumn Calabrese and Carl Deichler, please come to aisle 3 because Ashlie Molstad has something to tell you. Thank you.
Right? It's like, you're not more powerful than food. You got to get those temptations out of here. You are weak. And you say, yep, I'm going to get these temptations out of here. I got to get them out. And then you get them out. But what happens the next time you go and you're faced with them? Oh my God, I can't. No, I got to have those things. I'm not allowed to have them, right? Because you are weaker than food. That's what the diet industry wants. They want you to be insecure. It makes money. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry.
You've made millions of dollars off of this industry. Did you forget you are a Beachbody coach? I'm sorry. Beachbody On Demand Interactive, the worst marketing pivot we've ever seen. I keep switching to this because I'm like, the rage takes over. She's one of the top affiliates of TrimFit every week in Anita Myron's thing that she's doing. And then she's here in this call making some kind of stand against the diet industry.
Probably trillion at this point, right? So they want you to be insecure. And so it worked. I hated myself. And then I made this post that ended up going viral. I had a miscarriage, gained weight with the pregnancy, miscarried, and then just kind of kept eating and was processing, I guess, probably some trauma and pain or whatever. And then I finally was like, enough's enough. I want to feel better. I'm going to lose the weight. I started a new workout program, started a diet. I started feeling like I was seeing results. I was trying to capture a picture to put, because I was a coach at the time.
You're a coach right now. You're a body coach, right? Right, meow. Liar pants. Like, literally, insert the liar pants emoji if you're a member in the comments. Or this may be a premiere. Insert it in the live chat. Good God.
On social media. So I was trying to capture the picture and like on the tippy toes, hips thrust back, arms overhead to elongate the stomach, hips are thrust so that I can have an illusion of the thigh gap longer, like all the things. I'm sweating doing this and I'm hurting. I mean, back is physically hurting and I was becoming exhausted and I'd take a picture, go and look. Ugh, no, that's not it. Take a picture, go and look. That's not it. And I remember just thinking, this is my job. My job is a health and fitness coach, and I'm struggling with this.
You're an independent contractor with Beachbody. You're not NASM certified. You're not ACE certified. What job? An influencer?
So that's when some of you probably found me from that post. I sat down.
Yeah, she went viral and she got to be #1 in Beachbody that year, I think.
And I did the side-by-side. I did the stand it up, perfect pose, whatever. And then I just did the sitting down. This is what I look like. And it was kind of the post heard around the world for me. You see a ton of those now, but this was back in 2016. And there wasn't a lot of those kind of side-by-side things. But it made me kind of wake up to be like, this is a movement here. Like the way that resonated, I got to talk about this. It feels good.
I got to talk about this. You've made millions of dollars in Beachbody. The amount of money you are making per week and per month when your post went viral because people joined your team in your multi-level marketing company, you're going to keep talking about it because last week you were talking about how good it felt to get that public affirmation. Do we not remember what we talked about last week? I'm confused.
So then I started my work to kind of leave the diet industry.
Last week, she talked about getting her self-validation from the approval of people on the internet. Like this situation when she went viral for her post, when she's a body coach and she got an influx of people joining her team, she ended up being #1 in Beachbody. I think that year or the year after, like it was a direct reflection of that post and going viral and her success in Beachbody and feeling all the good feelings. And then we're going to listen to the rest of the story. Ashlie.
And become more of an intuitive eater where I was not listening to other people's rules. There were no rules. Turns out intuitive eating has rules too.
You sit on a throne of lies.
She's doing this intuitive eating, and then she was trying to get back in with 𝐷𝐄𝐒𝐓𝐅𝐔𝐋 and get her business going again. So she did the gut health protocol, whatever fluffery that 𝐷𝐄𝐒𝐓𝐅𝐔𝐋 is shilling in body, and that didn't work for her. And then she ended up working with this other lady that she just had a scam, I'm sorry, not a scam conference, a conference at this luxury hotel with 10 people who were the right people to be there, and that there was so much interest, but she's so glad there was only 10 people that came. It feels like she's saying one thing and doing another.
But it's like, eat what you want, when you want, as much as you want, never say no. If you want something, you have the thing, blah, 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 right? So I did that for several years, and that ended up repairing, I would say, my relationship with food. Food stopped having a hierarchy to me. There was
several years. Do you not remember 2022? Do you not remember the beginning of 2023? When was the intentional eating taking place?
no more good food, bad food. And this took years.
I'm glad she's saying that. A registered dietitian may tell you that too.
To really recover that thought, but I do not believe in good and bad food anymore, right? I don't even really like the terms healthy and unhealthy, maybe nourishing and not so nourishing, or like...
She's working with some type of food person. So her saying like, I like these type of terms. Were those terms that you came up with, or those terms that your nutrition person told you and then you're taking credit for?
Soul and cellular nourishment or physical nourishment versus emotional and spiritual nourishment.
Food shouldn't just be for nourishment. Food can make you happy. Can't it? Is food allowed to make you happy? If you're a registered dietitian, can you just help me out? Help me out in the live chat, or help me out in the comments.
Right? But I don't think that there is like good and bad food, healthy and unhealthy. But intuitive eating, I kind of swung the pendulum really far to the other side, which was then eat what I want whenever I want the second I think about it. And I didn't even check in like, do I want that? It was like, if I saw a piece of candy there, I can have the candy because no one's telling me I can't. I'm an intuitive eater. But I wouldn't even like ask, do I want this candy? I was like, I can, right? And then I, at some point was like, I'm feeling lethargic. I'm feeling bloated. I'm feeling heavy and weighed down. I have to take naps. I'm starting to get brain fog. Like all these things are happening. And I was like, and also I got to keep buying clothes. Like I'm not losing the weight because this coincided with Mac's pregnancy and then postpartum. And I wasn't losing the weight from the baby gain, and I wanted to. And I really had to come to terms with that too, because I had built then this.
I can't wait for Amy and Jen B and Amber and Cheryl to see this, because the timeline does not timeline. I'll tell you that right now.
Huge empire on anti-diet, anti-intentional weight loss. And it was like, well, what happens now when I actually want to lose weight? And why do I want to lose weight? The cool thing is, I had to wrap my brain around that you can lose weight from a place of love and respect and kindness for yourself. I had never done that before. The only way I had lost weight ever in my life was from hating myself, restricting myself, beating myself up, shaming myself, right? Like you need to do this in order to improve your life. When I started digging in more to like nutrition and nourishment and gut health and the gut brain connection and overall wellness and what, the hormones in your body, like insulin, ghrelin, leptin, what all of those things do, blood sugar stabilization, stuff like that. I started really just wanting to learn about how my body works and how food impacts my body. And I just started diving in. And this coincided also with me starting to really have pretty severe brain fog and not, low motivation, low libido, low drive, creativity. I just felt like I was not myself. I didn't even know where I went. I was not me anymore. And so I knew I wanted to change something. I knew I wanted to feel better. And I knew intuitive eating wasn't really making me feel better anymore. I had repaired my relationship with food.
I just have so many questions. Maybe I'll just have to ask them and like pin them in the comments below and just let a registered dietitian answer them. When you're repairing your relationship with food, isn't it important to also talk about options that are going to add and create like more of a complete meal, and you start from like where you're at, and don't you repair it with the help of like a professional?
But then it had all these other issues. And so now I'm in the sweet spot, what I call intentional eating. And what I mean by intentional eating is some of the same things that I do, some of the same actions that I take look similar to what it was when I was dying. When I was dieting, sorry, I was reading the comments. Anyway.
She came up with intentional eating? I don't think she did.
When I was dieting, you know, I would like prioritize movement, although the movement that I do now is very different. We're going to talk about that next week. But I prioritize, you know, veggies, protein, fiber, healthy fat, hydration, sleep. You know, I do some of those same things, but they feel completely different and they feel so much more sustainable because I'm not doing it from a place of shame. Right now, I'm operating from this place of I have so much respect and gratitude for my body. Like the things I have put this thing through, the amount of toxins and poisons and food-like substances and junk and crap, just like it, I have been.
What poison are you talking about? Is she shaming Beachbody? I'm confused.
Did so much of this thing. And not only has it been there for me, it's created 2 other whole ass humans and brought them into the world. Like what? This is incredible. And the more I learn about our bodies and how they work, it is just, I'm like, this is the most incredibly advanced machine we will ever come into contact with. And I'm going to talk shit about, I'm going to shit on it. What? Like this body is fighting for me. This body is on, it's like doing everything it can to help me feel good and thrive and survive. And I'm just like beating it down and beating it down and beating it down. And it still shows up. But eventually it's like battered and bruised and it's not working as well as it used to after decades of kind of treating it like this, right? So that's where I'm getting the low motivation. That's where I'm getting the brain fog, where I'm getting extreme fatigue, irritability, like all kinds of things. And I remember just feeling like my body deserves better. Like my body just deserves better. Why am I being such an asshole to it? That doesn't make any sense. Like my body has been the only constant thing in my entire life, right? People have come and gone. I've lived in tons of different states, tons of different relationships from all the different schools that I've gone to, and just like different jobs, different environments, travel, it's always my body. My body's always there. It's always up for the task, right? And there was a time a couple years ago that I Googled, and I don't remember why I did this, but I started getting sick, and I was like, what happens when you get sick or something like that, right? And it dumbed down version is like there's an invader in your body, this virus. And so your body mounts an immune response with it increases its white blood cell count so that it fights all these little invaders off. And it is on high alert. It's in fight or flight mode. It is like intruder. And so it focuses on that, on like getting these intruders out so that you can be back up to fighting shape. And when I'm sick, I crave like comfort food, right? So I want sugar, I want crackers, I want carbs, I want all these things. And I read that and I just thought, oh my God, my body is working so hard for me right now. And I'm going to give it more invaders, more intruders. Like I just pictured this little army that is fighting for me. It's on my side. I have this little internal army and it is fighting so hard. And instead of me giving it stuff to support my army and make my army stronger and being able to like fight off any invaders and intruders, I'm like strengthening the other side. I'm bringing in more intruders.
Correct me if I'm wrong, everyone. When you get sick, your body is fighting off the sickness or a sickness or whatever. And so your immune system is working overtime. And because your immune system is working, it needs more energy. And where does your body get said energy? From carbs? Carbohydrates? What?
I'm bringing in more people that are attacking my army that is trying to keep me alive and safe and well. And
unless you're drinking poison, how is eating food attacking your body? I'm just curious.
Started really thinking through that, like what my body is doing for me in so many ways and how it's fighting for me. I was like, I want to strengthen it. I want to be on the same team. I want to be an ally with myself. And so I try, I'm not always perfect, but when I'm sick, to feed it well, right? And when I was doing this candida thing, I get the labs. And that's why, we ran this candida diet, and a lot of people were hopeful to lose weight, because I did lose some weight during that. So I think people wanted to do it for the weight loss, but I'm like, don't do this for the weight loss. It is the most restrictive, strict plan that I've ever followed. And it felt actually really easy because I was not motivated by weight loss. I was motivated by strengthening my body and my army, right? So she was like, whoa, you have a severe candida overgrowth that's contributing to a whole host of other issues. Your body is basically like really inflamed. Your gut is really inflamed.
Oh my God. Candida albicans fungus lives on everyone in small amounts. Different people are more likely to develop different types of fungal infections. That's from the Cleveland Clinic. Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Candidiasis is a fungal infection caused by a yeast, a type of fungus called Candida. Some species of Candida can cause infection in people. Yeast is a fungus normally found inside your body and on your skin. When too much yeast grows, it can cause infection. Antifungal creams or oral medicines, blah, blah, blah. It sounds like she is taking some kind of test that her food person that she works with is saying that she has a candida overgrowth or a yeast overgrowth, when why wouldn't she go to the doctor and get an antibiotic? Replay crew? For the love of God, we need your help.
To do to like write that, because you're supposed to have candida. You're not supposed to have as much as I had. And so I just remember always thinking, like, when the sugar sounded good, or when.
Okay, here's my question though. What's the number for normal? I'll just look it up. What's the normal level of candida in your body? Optimal result, 0 to 3.49 units. I don't know if this is a good website to read. Candida overgrowth, that doesn't sound trustworthy. The Mayo Clinic posted this. What is a candida cleanse diet? And what does it do? And this is from mayoclinic.org. Some people blame many common symptoms on the overgrowth of the fungus-like organism Candida albicans in the intestines. They may say this fungus causes symptoms such as fatigue, headache, and poor memory. The condition is sometimes called yeast syndrome. To cure these problems, some people try a Candida cleanse diet. The diet removes foods such as sugar, white flour, yeast, and cheese from the typical diet. The Candida cleanse diet is based on the theory that these foods cause Candida overgrowth. It's thought that Candida are common in the human gut, also called the digestive system. An overgrowth of Candida can worsen existing digestive diseases such as ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease. But there is little proof that diet changes can improve the effects of a significant yeast overgrowth. Healthcare providers usually prescribe antifungal medicines to treat yeast overgrowth. This overgrowth is diagnosed by putting a small scope in your stomach, a procedure called an endoscopy, and taking a tiny sample of your stomach lining, called a biopsy. There isn't much proof to support the diagnosis of yeast syndrome, and there are no clinical trials that show that a Candida cleanse diet works for treating any known medical condition. On the other hand, and not surprisingly, many people notice that their health seems to improve when following this diet. If you stop eating sugar and white flour, you'll generally cut out most processed foods. These foods tend to be higher in calories and lower in nutritional value. There is growing evidence to support that reducing processed foods and focusing on whole foods may have a number of health benefits unrelated to questions about the effects of yeast overgrowth. Within a few weeks of replacing processed foods with fresh ones and replacing white flour with whole grains, you may start to feel better in general. Feeling better is probably the main benefit of a Candida cleanse diet rather than stopping the growth of yeast in the digestive system. Ashlie Molstad saying that she feels better after she did this super strict Candida cleanse diet. When we heard from this that some people feel better because of adding other things to their diet and removing white flour and processed sugar. Look at the evidence. Look at the sources that you were reading from. Don't just go to a source that matches what you're searching for and then not even take a look at the organization that wrote the article, because there's lots of listings out there on the internet supporting what she's saying, but are there, world-renowned organizations that are talking about this? Do they always talk about it? No, but we can understand from what was written in this article that she is making logical fallacy-esque leaps, and then she is telling the people in this group everything that she benefited from and what she had when maybe she didn't have that. Because what they're saying here is that the diet doesn't fix candida overgrowth. You have to treat that with an antifungal, and you have to identify it with a biopsy. Did she get a biopsy? I don't know.
Carbs sounded good, or whatever, like things that, you really I had to be mindful of as I was following this candida diet. I would think, yeah, that sounds good, but do I want to feed the invading army?
Oh, God.
Like, if I eat this candy right now, or this cookie right now, or any kind of, because you're supposed to basically be zero sugar, any kind of sugar right now, I'm strengthening the other army. I'm weakening my body. I'm giving it more invaders to fight off. And that was enough for me to be like, not worth it.
Do you understand how the body processes food?
Me and my body, we're on the same team, right? So that is where I'm at now, like intentional eating, where sometimes pizza sounds good, and instead of having a pizza, I have chicken and veggies or whatever, right? And it's not because of weight loss. It's not because I feel like life is going to get any better, or I'm going to be any more confident, or I'm going to make more money, or call new relationships. Like, nothing is going to change if I lose weight other than the way that I look. And maybe I'll have thoughts of like, I like the way that I look better, but life does not improve. And I know that enough with doing all of this thought work. Like, you losing weight does not guarantee you're going to be more confident, richer, more successful, more in love. Like, weight does not, the circumstance is weight. The number on the scale does not dictate the result, right? You know this. There's the fact, I weigh this much, and you're saying I weigh this much, and therefore, I feel like shit, and I'm creating this result where I'm unlovable or whatever. But it's always the thought. It's always the T line. I weigh this much, and what am I thinking about it? And what I'm thinking about it is...
I'm sorry, I'm yawning. I was up till 5 this morning because I couldn't sleep. Well, I was crying, but I couldn't sleep, so.
Causing me to feel something. And from this feeling, I take actions, and these actions produce a result, right? So I just was like really reframing the way that I thought about my body and how I want to treat it and show up for it. I posted something a couple weeks ago, I think now, and it was this quote that was like, let's say you changed bodies with your favorite person on the planet for a year. You exchanged bodies, right? Knowing that you would have to give this body back to that person that you love after this year. They're getting this body back. How would you show up for them? And how much different would you show up for them than you're showing up for yourself? This person that you love, you're in their body and you want to give them back the healthiest, best body, right? So you're probably going to be kind to it. You're going to prioritize nourishment and rest and joy and laughter and peace. And like maybe there'll be more boundaries, maybe there'll be more movement, but it's not going to be punishing movement. It's going to be joy-filled movement. It's going to be, I'm on the same team. I'm going to strengthen this body, right? Because I love this person and they deserve that. Why aren't we doing that for ourselves? If we want to be someone that we love, we have to act as if we love ourselves.
Okay, sure. Some of that, appreciate this sentiment. There's other parts where you're literally giving us some bad nutrition advice, bad relationship with food advice, and then saying that this high control, strict relationship with food that you are now doing is the way to love yourself. When you're still in the twisty, you're still in the weeds.
And that's really been like kind of the catalyst for me to make a lot of these changes. I am so compelled to feel better, and I'm so compelled to treat my body with respect. Now, this does not mean that I am a, perfect eater in regards, like I still eat processed food. I still have alcohol. You guys know this, right? But I'm just mindful of it. I'm very mindful of sugar. I'm very mindful of blood sugar stabilization, very mindful now of gut health and how I can support my body naturally.
Are you a diabetic? Does your body not? I'm not. I'm going to stop Googling it.
Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Knowing, like this weekend I have a conference and I know that I'm going to be eating at restaurants. I'm going to be drinking more. I'm still very mindful because again, I'm not doing this like I'm on vacation and all bets are off. Why? I have my body. I live in my body 365 days a year, and God willing, or universe willing, or spirit willing, I will have, how old am I? 38. I will have 60 plus years left with this body. Why would I take a weekend off? Why would I take a week off? Why would I, like people are saying, we're going to run this.
If food is neither good nor bad, then why are you participating in the same mindset that you just talked shit about earlier on in this call?
Health, a group after this, Stephanie and I, my clinical nutritionist that I've been working with who's completely changed my life, we're going to run an adrenal health group. And she ran a poll and was like, when do you want to do it? And everyone said,
Stephanie is...
I'm like, why are we doing this?
Stephanie is a clinical nutritionist. Is that a term? Okay, it is a thing. Clinical nutrition specialists provide individual counseling and develop meal plans that can change lives and help patients who are dealing with disease such as diabetes, cardiovascular disease, or obesity-related cancers. Clinical nutritionist versus dietitian, what's the difference? The common misconception in nutrition is that a clinical nutritionist and a registered dietitian are one and the same. While both careers are in the health and wellness industry and focus closely on the human body relative to nutrition intake, there are many distinctive differences. Okay, number one, the main difference is the certification requirements. A nutritionist has to pass a different certification examination to hold a nutritionist title as either a nutritionist or a dietitian. You would also have a more comprehensive range of specialties you can choose to pursue, including sports nutrition, human performance, and pediatrics. I don't know what her friend Stephanie, I don't know what certification she has.
Why are we saying, I want to feel better, I want to take care of me, but not for 3 more months? I just want to kind of be an asshole to myself for the next 3 months. I just want to give it as much toxins and beat it up and have guilt and shame and feel embarrassed about going to these parties dressed like that. Like, why are we doing that? Why are we not on our own team?
So you are, again, fat shaming people, even though there's not good or bad food, even though you're talking about loving and respecting yourself. Your language that you're bringing into this right now is that there should be a certain embarrassment about someone being bigger and going to a party and feeling uncomfortable because of them participating in believing what like these industries have caused people to believe that a certain size is okay and a certain size is not okay. You're bringing it in as a reason to get on board with your health, because why would you want to go to a party and be uncomfortable in what you're wearing because you're big?
It's like so much freer and lighter and more fun. Now, I know we want the quick results, but I'm thinking, where will you be a year from now? If you heal your relationship with food and you heal your relationship with yourself and you start being someone that you love and you respect yourself, you don't want to shame spiral eat. You don't want to go binge and just like drink to numb yourself out. You want to be present. You want to love yourself. And then the results, the results that you're looking for are a byproduct of that. Showing up for you. That's why I've said forever, if you take care of your mind, the body takes care of itself. Because you don't actually want to sit on the couch and eat bonbons and pizza all day. If you did,
oh my God, those people that you and Autumn Calabrese are shaming, even though you shit on Autumn Calabrese earlier on in this video, and Carl Deichler, you are then using their same terminology for talking about those people who have struggles with their weight, that they just sit on the couch and eat bonbons and pizza all day.
I gave you permission. I was like, do that. I want you to only have what's your favorite food, what's your bites that you don't allow yourself to have in the house, right? I want you to have that at every single meal. And just that. Pretty quickly, you'd be pretty over it. And you'd be like, I need some nutrients. I need something else. Give me a piece of lettuce. I need something. I don't feel good. It doesn't actually feel good. The reason that you crave it is because you restrict it. And it's a restrictive thing because you're telling yourself you can't have that because you feel like you need to lose weight in order to achieve more confidence or a better life. Those things are not guaranteed until you change your thoughts. So that is why I feel like this is so much about mindset and not at all about actual body losing weight. Right? So you have to be really, I want in your journaling, get really clear. Why do I want to lose weight? What is it I'm telling myself that I think is going to happen on the other side of weight loss? I'm going to be more confident. Okay.
I don't know. Maybe I would be able to stand for longer periods of time. Maybe I would have less like hip and knee pain. Maybe I would be able to like have increased mobility, but you're just talking to those people who want to lose weight for their self-image. I understand the part that no, weight loss in itself isn't going to fix your mind. And if you struggle with body dysmorphia, it's not going to help you see yourself in a healthy light if you have a dysfunctional relationship with your body. I get that. Maybe it would be important to work with a licensed clinician who specializes in that.
How do you know? What is the thought that you'll think about yourself? Like, I look good? You could just decide you look good now, or you can say, like, maybe that's not believable. Maybe you can't believe I look good now, but you can say, I'm trying to ladder thought for you guys. You could say something like, looks actually aren't that important. And I don't know if you believe it, but if you could take yourself to your deathbed and you look back, the legacy that you want to leave, is it, I want to make sure I was really pretty and thin? Like, I don't think most of us actually think looks are as important as the energy that we're putting towards them now. I like to look good. I like makeup. I like hair. I like nails. I like taking care of myself and doing all of the things, right? I know that that's playing into the patriarchy and misogyny and all of that, and yet I'm still on board for it. I like all of that, but that's not the legacy I want to live.
It's not necessarily. Sometimes people enjoy beauty just for beauty's sake. Oh my God.
And that's what I talked about. Gosh, I talked to so many, I've got the podcast, I got my stories, I got one-on-one clients. So I don't know how, like, some of this stuff, if I've said it to you before in calls or in emails or whatever. But like, I don't think that you have to love the way you look to still have a fun time at an event, right? You put on this dress. Oh my God, I feel so like gross. I don't want to go to the party. Why don't you want to go? Because I just feel like fat. Okay, and what's the party for? Well, it's my mom's retirement. Oh, okay. So
put on some comfy clothes. If you have texture problems, put on something that feels good. And if you feel safer having your arms and legs covered, do that. Put on some comfy shoes. If you feel more confident with a headband and like your hair up, like, do what you need to do.
Does it matter when you pull back and you look at the end of your life that you didn't like the way you looked at the party, or does it matter that you were there with your mom celebrating this? That you were alive? And it doesn't have to be a big event. It can be anything. Date night. It could be a fucking Tuesday. It could be this call. I don't want to show up to the call. I don't like the way it looks. I'm not going to raise my hand to get coached. Okay, why? Well, I'm just embarrassed. Okay. Does it matter? What do you want to get out of this life? What is the legacy that you want to leave? My guess is looks aren't a part of it. So like, it's okay if you don't like the way you look. I'm still worth showing up for. If I want to love myself, I got to treat myself the way that I would treat someone that I love. And I'm not shoving a bunch of toxic shit down my throat and then beating myself up about it and then binging and saying, okay, I'll start again on Monday, and then white knuckling it through and not allowing any, hopping on the tightrope, not allowing any room for error, calling myself a failure, being so exhausted and shaming myself all week and getting on the scale and making that mean things, right? Like, I'm not doing those things. That's not being on the same team with ourselves. So I really want you to get clear on, why do you want to lose weight? Why have you not lost weight? What has your keeping the weight on? How has that served you? What is it keeping you safe from? Right? Then also, if I were...
Is the weight even keeping you safe from something? Sometimes it is, for sure. Should you talk about that with someone who specializes in that? Yeah, probably.
Right? All right. So let's do some coaching.
Oh, it's a lot of coaching. We've been talking for 34 minutes. No, not we. She's been talking for 34 minutes. There is an hour and 13 and 14 minutes and 13 minutes left. Holy shit.
I'm just reading through. I am reading through some of these. All right, let's do some coaching. So you can also ask some questions in the Q&A box. I see someone said, how do I get the weekly emails? Still haven't received them. Is there a better way? Can you email me? They're put in, all of the emails are now added. Kaylee has been adding them to the website, to the course area. So I'm assuming that is where you saw this. So all of the emails are being just, she's making them like pictures and putting them in there, I think. So, but if you guys have any other questions, you can put them in the Q&A. I'm going to go to, let's allow you, I'm going to promote you to.
We're not going to see the people talking. We're going to see Ashlie talking, but I'm going to put this handy dandy sensor on top.
You just have to have camera on, unmute yourself, and let's go. And I'm going to, if you guys don't know, I'm going to be taking notes. Uh-oh. You coming, girl? Okay. Hi.
Hi. Oh my goodness. Hello.
Here we are. Here we are together. Okay, tell me what we're coaching on. What's going on in your brain?
Well, I think the biggest thing that I'm struggling with is I went through a breakup about 6 months ago, trying to find myself again.
Mm-hmm.
And, oh, sorry if I get emotional. But basically, I feel like I don't deserve to live life or...
Oh my God, Ashlie, you're out of your realm.
To make memories. And I just constantly, I guess, I feel like I'm unworthy to live. So I just live in fear and stay home and don't do anything.
Okay. Where is that coming from? What do you mean you don't deserve to live life or make memories? Why don't you deserve life?
I feel like I hide myself a lot. Like
You what? Hide yourself?
No, I hide myself. Like I don't do my hair and makeup very often. I wear, like, I don't present myself. I don't put effort into presenting the best version of myself when I go and do things or meet people. Mm-hmm. So I'm, I guess, not feeling like I deserve to do more in life.
She's so emotional. I understand that. I think she needs to be talking to a licensed clinician. No shade for the people who've been lured in by Ashlie Molstad. I have empathy for what she's saying. I felt very similar things. I hope she has someone in her life that she gets to get help from that's not Ashlie.
Why don't you deserve that?
I guess I don't feel like I know why I should deserve it. Like I feel like I don't do enough, or I shouldn't allow myself to have fun.
Okay, but why? Why don't you do what? How would you know that you do deserve it?
I think someone else would have to tell me or remind me or affirm me.
Okay. And if someone said you deserve to have fun, or what would they say? You deserve to live life?
Well, yeah, I think like currently, like, a lot of my friends tell me I need to live life and be more social and do more things. I'm not confident enough to go do things. So I feel like I have to have someone to push me.
It sounds like they are pushing you, and it's not like that's not working.
Yes. Okay. I don't know how to. I feel like I'm trying to pretend, like, fake it till you make it. Like, pretend to be someone that that I'm not, or I don't know how to be.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What does this have to do with, because you started by saying I went through a breakup 6 months ago. Did this start with that, or did you already think this about yourself before that?
I think during times in my life, like usually after breakups, I kind of go through this cycle of not knowing who I am anymore. And I think I was confident that someone picked me or chose me.
Right. So your brain was using the fact that you're in a relationship with someone to give yourself worth. Like, well, he or she sees my value. So maybe I have some value here.
Right.
Okay.
I feel so bad for her.
And then you break up. And so now you're like, well, I guess not. I guess I don't have any value.
Right.
Why are you so committed to believing that? Now, let me ask you also this. Do you feel like this is absolutely true? Your subconscious thinks this for sure, right? And there's a part of your consciousness that thinks it too. But is there a part of you that is like, I know that this is ridiculous, or does this feel very true to you? Like, no, I am not worthy of love or life or making memories.
I think part of me believes that I am. I just don't know how to, I guess, push myself enough to actually feel that I am on my own.
Tell me about the last time you were invited to do something and you declined because you felt like you didn't deserve it.
Like going out, hanging out, friends at a karaoke bar.
Okay, so they invited you to the karaoke bar, and what happened for your brain?
I had to mentally talk myself into getting dressed up and going out. I go out and then it's like I freeze, like I'm a fly on the wall, and I watch everyone else live life and have fun, and I just sit there.
What are you thinking? Why are you frozen?
Is this the worst therapy session I've ever heard? Maybe.
I guess I don't know how to be accepted by other people.
So if I'm who I am, they won't accept me, or what?
Yes.
How are you feeling in that? Like when you're at the karaoke bar?
I feel very uncomfortable.
Okay. Why are you feeling uncomfortable?
They're socializing, have a good time. I just don't know. I guess I've been for so long in my life told how I need to act or what I need to do. And then I don't know who I am as an adult in my own life.
Who's been telling you how to act and what is it from your parents?
Yeah, I think I just fit into molds with everyone. Like growing up, my parents, my friends.
Ashley's putting on lip gloss while this lady is telling her all this stuff, and the lady's so emotional, and Ashley's putting on lip gloss.
I have to, however they are, I mold myself to fit in with people, like what they like, I'll like. So I don't really have any interest outside of that on my own.
Yeah. So your thought, you're feeling uncomfortable because why? You're sitting at the karaoke bar, you feel uncomfortable. Why?
Because I don't know what people do or what I should be doing.
Like how to act, or like I'm weird so I can't show them.
I think my default is just to sit and be quiet and not engage with people. And then it kind of rubs people the wrong way, or they don't know how to take me because I'm not as outgoing or not as engaging.
Well, yeah, of course, because you're sitting there feeling uncomfortable. What do you do?
It's odd watching her be this aggressive to the people who are asking her questions and like her content.
When you're feeling uncomfortable. You're at the karaoke bar.
I excuse myself and I go home after about an hour.
Okay, and so you leave after an hour or something. What are you doing while you're there for that hour?
I'm trying to engage with people. I just don't know how to feel like myself. Like I'm doing a horrible job explaining. I apologize.
You're not actually. I just think this is actually very relatable for a lot of people. I think it's probably much more common than you think. So don't judge yourself right now.
I guess I feel like my friends are always telling me, even my therapist was like,
oh, she has a therapist. Thank the Lord.
Go out, date, meet new people, go do things, socialize. But I feel like it's like me being a homebody and staying at home is not an acceptable way to live.
Well, okay, but the thing is it is an acceptable way to live, but you've decided that it isn't because you've sort of decided the things that I like are not okay. But the other side of that is, I think you're more of a homebody because you're afraid to be around other people. So we don't even know if you actually like being a homebody. You just feel like that's where it's safest.
Mhm.
You feel like there's something wrong with you when you're around other people, but that's not like I don't even know if you actually want to be a homebody. This is the safest place to be because I'm not bothering other people or like boring them or.
Right. I use my dogs as a crutch a lot because I'd rather stay at home and be with them and not go hang out with people.
So if you think the thought, I don't know how to act, does that make you uncomfortable? Or what feeling would I don't know how to act bring up?
I guess I don't know how to, like, as being like I'm 37 and making friends and then engaging when I'm older, I don't know how to do that.
I feel bad, and I also relate. I do relate to her.
You don't know how to
I don't know how to, engage with people and be friendly. And I don't have a whole lot of friends. I have like one friend I hang out with.
Okay. That's the person that invited you to karaoke?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And why do you think they invite you to karaoke?
Because they want to get me out to socialize.
Why do they want to do that?
Because they know I need to, and that they know I'm fun, and they think other people would enjoy hanging out with me.
Do you believe this person?
I should. But I think I've just brainwashed myself enough that I'm not likable or wanted.
What's your evidence that you're not likable?
I think it's just something I've told my brain for so long.
Right. So this is one of those things where it is like mind management, right? Because it feels so true to you that there is something wrong with me, that I am unlikable. So if you think I am unlikable, when you think that thought, it feels so true to you that there is something wrong with me, that I am unlikable. So if you think I am unlikable, when you think that thought, I want you to sit in that, I am unlikable. What's the feeling?
Despair.
When you think that thought?
The feeling is like understandable. I guess I think of all the reasons as to why I would be unlikable.
No, I want you to think I am unlikable as if it's a fact. I don't want you to think and let me prove it true. I want you to feel like when I think, if I simmer in that, if I think I am unlikable, oh my God, it's like my stomach hurts. It's like worse than sadness. Almost grief is what I would say I feel if I think and believe I am unlikable. So what is it that you feel? And maybe you need to close your eyes and go into your body. When you think the thought, I'm unlikable, where do you feel that?
I guess in my soul, in my heart, like it's dread that I'm unlikable.
Dread. Okay. Now, what's so fascinating, do you think that we could prove in a court of law that you're unlikable?
No.
Yeah. Right? Which means it's not a fact. You're really moving into your head here, and it's like your brain is really trying to make this a fact because you've had a ton of years of practicing this thought and collecting evidence.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That I'm unlikable. But I want you to really wrap your brain around and create some space there that if I can't prove this, then it's not a fact. It is the story. And even if I can't change the story yet, I can see that this is the story. I have the one person that likes me, the one person. It's possible that I'm likable. And I think, I don't remember if I talked about this last week, but that my go-to for all of these years, I was terrified of rejection. And the thing that I kept coming back to underneath all of that is I don't matter. I don't matter. I don't these things would happen. And then every time I boiled it down, the most painful thought was I don't matter. I'm insignificant. Nobody cares about me. Right. And that feels so true, or it felt so true. It doesn't feel true anymore, but it felt so true. And I remember this thing happened with a good friend of mine. and it was a perceived rejection. And it hit me so hard. And this was like, after I'd been doing some work on really deciding to like myself and build my confidence and whatever. And I remember my brain saying, see, this whole time you've been unlikable. See, this just proves it. Because she is supposed to love you. Like, she's a good friend of yours. And maybe your brain is doing that, like with the relationship, right? You break up. See, every time they get that close to you, they realize you're not likable, right? And I was just thinking about how there's other people on the planet that I can't stand. We could take a like, I'm not a political person, but like, you can think about a politician, and there's probably a politician that you're like, I'm not a fan of that person. And yet that person has a bunch of people voting for them. They're married, they've got kids, they have friends, they hang out with people. And it's like, how? You're so unlikable. And then I just realized, like, okay, it's not me that's unlikable. It's like if that person that I think is so unlikable has a bunch of people around them that are liking them, it's not that they're unlikable. It's that I'm viewing them through a lens that makes them unlikable, but they are not inherently unlikable. That's just not a thing. And so then I started.
I mean, it kind of is a thing. Dear God.
And maybe that's true for me too then. Like, maybe I'm not inherently unlikable or unimportant, right? Like, if it's not true for anyone else on the planet, pretty egotistical to think that out of the billions of people, I'm the exception. That doesn't even make a lot of sense, brain. And I wasn't able to like change it yet, but just creating a little bit of space with like, maybe this is a story. Maybe it's not a fact. And then really kind of like exploring that and engaging with that thought. And like, if that's not true, what could be true? Right? Is it possible that I am the only unlikable person on the planet, that it's like in my DNA? No, it's not. Okay, so why am I holding on to this thought so hard? And then I had the idea, like, as I'm processing.
Are you going to let her talk at all or no?
Through this, right? I was like, I just want to be really self-aware. So I never want to be the person that when someone leaves, did I talk to you guys about this last week?
Yes. Did you not watch your Zoom call last week? It is so unprofessional of her not to watch her content back and not remember what story she told in her class.
It's feeling like I talked about this last week, but I don't know. Did I share this last week?
I don't know if it was last week, but definitely on one of your podcasts. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Right. So the process that I went through was like thinking about how people that I don't like have people that like them. So therefore they are likable, just not by me. And maybe that applies to me, the people that.
There's cult leaders that are liked and that they are inherently unlikable. Did you ever think about that? See, that's a problem. When you're using these types of examples that, oh, this person I don't like is liked by someone, that means that I cannot be unliked. There's stuff I do that people don't like.
Don't like me. It actually isn't me. It's them. And then I was like, why am I holding on to that? Why do I want to know if I am unlikable? Like, if it is a fact that I'm unlikable, why am I so dead set on believing this? And I realized that I didn't want to look dumb. I didn't want to be the one that wasn't self-aware. Like, we've all been in the room.
No, this is not why I think I'm unlikable. Number one, people can believe they're unlikable for a myriad of different reasons.
When someone leaves, they're like, oh my God, they're just such a know-it-all, or they're so annoying or whatever, but that person doesn't know it. And it's like, how do they not see that they're just irritating or whatever? And I think I always was like, I never want to be the one that's like, doesn't know that she's not likable. Like, I get it. I'm a piece of shit. Guys, you don't have to tell me. I already know that nobody likes me, that I suck. Right. And then I started being like, why do I want to be so self-aware? Because it's really like me being self-aware and very in tune to the fact that I suck doesn't, like, one, it's not true. But if it is true, like my brain is saying it's true, how is that serving me?
You could know how your actions impact others, and if your actions are hurting others, if you are self-aware, then you could stop hurting other people. Like, that could be one example of why being self-aware is important. But what do I know?
I'm the only one that has to live with me for the rest of my life. And when I feel like I am unlikable and I feel dread and I feel like I don't want to engage with life, and then I go, what is the point of all of this? Why am I so dead set on believing that? It's only impacting me. And so I was like, okay, maybe ignorance really is bliss. Like maybe I actually would, and I started looking at it and it's like, maybe I actually would rather everybody talk about me when I leave and be like, she is the most annoying, irritating person. Like, God, I don't know how anyone likes her. And I love me. They're all talking shit. And I am like in bliss. I'm like, God, this is such a fun, I love it. I just had so much fun at the dinner party and and my life is good and I'm happy and like all these things. Why wouldn't I want that I would rather believe something that is a lie. If I am inherently unlikable and a piece of shit that nobody likes, there's no upside to me believing that. Because when I think that, I minimize myself. I shrink. I don't go out. I don't get ready. I don't do the makeup and the hair. And then when I finally drag myself to the karaoke bar, I sit in the corner and I don't talk. And I'm very insecure about saying the wrong thing or whatever. And then I'm so uncomfortable in my skin and watching all these people and how are they able to just interact and what's wrong with me? And oh my God, I'm probably weirding people out because I'm sitting in this. I'm just going to go home. How is that serving me? It's making my life miserable. So even if it is true that you're not likable, there's no upside to believing it. And I just truly don't think the truth matters. I don't even think
the truth doesn't matter. I think the truth does matter. I don't understand.
Like the truth is a thing. Someone at some point decided to call gravity gravity. We've all bought into it. But someone else at some point could have decided a different word and we would have learned it as something else. Like everything.
We didn't buy into it. It's fucking science. What are you talking about?
Around us is just a thought that we've accepted to be true and practiced, right? And there's evidence to say like gravity is real, but they could have called it balloon. And we would be like, oh yeah, we're here. Right? It's like, it's all just a thought.
No.
A lot of our thoughts are fine. It's not a problem that we believe gravity is real or that the sky is blue.
It's kind of a problem if you, okay, forget it.
That, water is wet. Like those things don't bother our lives. So it's fine. But really, like what matters is how.
I mean, wet does matter because if you understand what wet is and you see that there is a substance that is classified as wet and it's on a floor and you could slip, not stepping on it is important so that you don't slip. Oh my God, this is so wild. I think my brain is losing it.
We feel. And so even if there's a truth, like you are the one inherently unlikable person on the planet, even if that's true, why would I be committed to believing it? And I just decided I'm not going to do that anymore because I have this one life in this one body in this one brain and nobody has to live with it more than me. So like if I suck, I'm going to go ahead and suck, but I'm going to have the most fun sucking. Like I'm just not going to shit on myself anymore. I'm just not going to do it. When my brain wants to offer, right? And this has been work. It will take you work for sure. As any perceived rejection or any perceived awkward encounter or whatever, your brain's going to use it as evidence that you're unlikable or something's wrong with you. And you just have to remind myself, this is a story, right? And you might not be able to change it yet. And a lot of times what happened for me was I did the work after certain interactions, right? Where I had that perceived rejection. I would be gutted and I'd drop into the deep self-loathing and then it would take me days. But I'd finally get around it. And I did that for a few times, right? And then I was able to catch myself during that spiral and I'd be able to pull myself out of it within the same day. And be like, okay, that's really painful. And I'd cry, I'd do the whole thing and then be like, but remember, this is an option. This is a choice. And you've decided that you don't want to believe this about yourself anymore. And even if they don't like you, doesn't mean you're not likable. You are wonderful. You're right. Just all these things. And I started trying to borrow, like, I think about someone that treats me really well. And at the time I thought about my best friend, Colleen, who I co-host You Can Sip With Us with. And she thinks really highly of me. And I think really, really highly of her.
We heard this last week.
And so it's like, what if she's not lying? What if I just believed that she chose me to be her best friend because maybe I'm likable, right? So maybe you use the thoughts that this person that invited you to karaoke, maybe you kind of borrow those. maybe it's possible that I actually am fun. This person that I trust and I think is fun, thinks I'm fun. What would it be like if I just pretended that was true? I'm just going to see what that feels like. I'm sure I could always go back to being an asshole to myself, but I just want to try it on. Right. And so then I would be able to pull myself out within the day. And now I can catch myself like the minute when I start feeling that deep gut feeling in my stomach, I can be like, this is a story that's not serving me. And my brain's like, no, but this, like, this is true. You actually, even if it is, like, the truth is irrelevant. I've decided I want to think thoughts that feel good to think because I'm the one thinking them. And I want to for me to live the best life and have the most fun, I cannot be thinking thoughts like I'm unlikable or I don't know how to act or I'm too strange or not fun. Like, I can't be thinking those thoughts because then I mute myself, I minimize myself, I become a homebody, I just stay at home, I don't leave, I don't take care of myself, right? And then I have a miserable time. So this right now is just mind management. There's not going to be an easy button. It's not going to be an overnight thing. It's going to require a lot of work for you. But I'm telling you right now, it is totally possible.
And is there like a, I guess, a motto or a phrase or that you remind yourself before you kind of go down the rabbit hole to switch?
I think the thing that helped me a lot was when I was in the midst of this big, it was kind of like a complete, I don't know what that word is, changed my life really, right? This very painful thing. The biggest heartbreak I've ever been through, like I'm no longer friends with this person. And it was the hardest thing. And I'm sitting there on the beach and I'm crying and someone came up to me and asked me a question, what's wrong? And I told her and she goes, well, is that true? Or is that a story you're telling yourself? And that's that question is what I've gone back to over and over and over again in the beginning of this healing journey. Now I'm like, it doesn't matter if it's true, right? It's like, I get to tell myself whatever story I want. And there's no upside to telling that shitty story. But that's where I started, was when my brain started to go down, it would be like, is this true or is it a story? And even just that creates a little bit of space where like, I can't change the story yet. I can see, but just seeing that it's a story gives me enough, just a very light exhale, right? Like, okay, it is a story. Can't change it. Still feels very believable, but it's a story, not a fact. So it is optional. At some point I learned this. I'm committed to unlearning it. So that was kind of my go-to, was like checking in. Is it a story or is it a fact, right? Is it true or is it a story I'm telling myself? And then I moved more into just like I don't know if I have a mantra. It's just like, if I had a thought that made me feel like shit about myself, it's just like, I'm not entertaining it. I've decided I'm not believing this bullshit, brain. Thank you for continuing to offer it. Nope, not for me. Right? Like, I don't know if I have a mantra. It was just like, I'm not doing this. I guess that's my mantra, is like, I'm not doing this. I'm not believing that.
Every story I tell myself is negative. I don't think I tell myself anything positive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be the hardest part.
Yeah. So one thing that I want you to start doing is like, if I loved myself, what would I do today? If I liked myself, what does someone who likes herself or loves herself, does she get out for a walk? Does she put on some makeup? Does she wear clothes that make her feel good? Like, what does she do? And then maybe pick one thing a day. Don't overhaul your life. Maybe one.
I don't hate that. What is someone who likes themselves? What would they do? I don't hate that idea.
Thing a day. She sits down and she reads a book, or she eats this thing without beating herself up, or whatever, right? I don't know what it is. What does someone that loves herself do? And then commit to doing it and do it. Because I think one of the number one ways to build self-confidence is to follow through on the commitments that you make to yourself. Right now, you just don't really trust yourself. You've broken trust with yourself so many years, day after day after day, that you're not someone you can count on. And so do something, even if like you feel like you don't deserve it. Like, if someone loved themselves, what would they do? I don't feel like putting makeup on right now, but I guess I'm going to do it. Right? Because I'm going to follow through on these commitments that I'm making with myself. And it's like subliminally sending this message to your brain that I'm worth showing up for. Even if you don't believe it, it's like the subliminal action of like, I'm going to act as if I love myself. Not there yet, but I'm going to act the part because I'm committed. All right.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. All right. Keep me posted. I'm going to send you back. We'll go to I think I'm going to promote you. Hi.
Hey, so I'm actually, me and my sister are doing it together. She's here with me. We both signed up, but I'm just using my laptop. So I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Okay. Hi.
Okay, so I have like tons, but I'm going to kind of go with what you talked about this week, with eating and moving my body. I have been a lifelong emotional eater. I eat to not feel anything. Working out has always been difficult for me. I have kids, and up until like 3 months ago, I went on this big 10-mile trip with a friend, and I was so extremely sore from that. I made a commitment to myself that I'm never going to feel like this again. Like, I'm never going to stop moving, because when I'm older, I want to still be able to move with my children and my grandkids. But I'm still at this point. I heard a lot of your story with like the intuitive eating. Like, that's kind of where I've been the last 2 years. I just eat. Nothing's bad. Nothing's good.
Yeah.
But I physically am like overweight.
Can I just say this? I know the screen is censored for y'all, and I'm not trying to say like, oh, I'm the determiner of health. I don't think you can tell necessarily by someone's outward appearance if they're healthy or not. I'm not healthy. I would love to have more mobility. It's a long story. She looks like she has a good amount of muscle mass, and she can say, like, maybe she said that she wants to be able to move more and not get as sore. Cool. I think that's a healthy kind of goal. Like, I'm not any kind of trainer, so maybe I can't say that. I feel bad that these people are looking for solutions and they've ended up with Ashlie Molstad.
I feel unhealthy. I have the brain fog. I have all of that. P.S. I'm on the wait list to work with your nutritionist. Okay. But I'm just like, why isn't it clicking? I've got up every day for the last 3 months at 4:30 to work out with a couple friends. They come over in the morning before I start my day. But then it's like, I can't. I guess I'm saying like no foods are good or bad, but I want to lose weight. But I know why. I want to feel healthier. I'm sick of the brain fog, the aches and pains, the just feeling miserable. But I can't. Every day it's like the same vicious cycle. I eat veggies, but then I just like binge eat not to feel.
Okay, so that's every day. You're binging every day?
Every day.
Okay, so when you say why isn't it clicking, it's like why the clicking part is why am I still binging?
Yeah, like I'll have something in my mouth. I'm like, I know I shouldn't be doing this because it's not getting to me to where I want to feel, but I still eat it. I'm like, how did I just eat that?
Did you binge today?
I've binged.
You have. So tell me what happened earlier. What was...
And it was interesting because I've been reading your email. So as I'm binging, and I'm like, what am I doing? I'm trying to numb out. So I homeschool 4 children, so I'm very busy. Not that that's an excuse, but it's like to just numb out. Like,
I'm sorry she's in a place that she feels overwhelmed. And I wish she had another solution other than giving Ashlie Molstad her hard-earned money and getting potentially no solutions and maybe even be in a worse spot.
I don't even remember what I was eating, but I ate till I made myself sick. And I'm like, this is what I
did that many, many, many times. And I struggle with it for a long time.
Do every single day, every meal.
Yeah. Because you get relief from it.
Yep.
Like there is, the dopamine hit in your brain that's like, oh, temporary relief from the pain. I'm overwhelmed. Or is that what you said? I'm very busy. So is it a problem that you're busy? Like, are you stressed? Are you overwhelmed? Are you like?
I say I'm stressed and I'm overwhelmed, but it's like, I've noticed when I don't do anything is when I get like super depressed. Like I have to be going to not, I guess to not feel like I always am busy, whether it's sports or, everything I'm doing, like I'm just busy. Yeah. And do I feel overwhelmed? Some days, yes. I'm like, what am I doing? Like sports 7 nights a week? This is insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then if I stop, I'm like, what do I do?
Right. Who am I without being needed or something?
Yeah. It's like the quiet just puts me like, I have like depression, I guess.
Talk to a licensed clinician. Not everyone has access to it. I know there's programs out there that you can get access. You can start this conversation with a doctor. Maybe not everyone has access to a doctor.
Yeah. Something, where you don't like spending time with yourself.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about you?
If you would have asked me a year ago, it probably would have been terrible, but I'm to the point where I say it's like, I don't care what other people think of me. Like, I do me. I'm happy. I find joy in the mundane. But then I look myself in the mirror. I'm like, I'm ugly. I'm fat. Like, cue the waterworks. But like, and I know that I'm more than my weight. And I just can't stop the cycle of eating.
Yeah. Is that true? You can't stop. Like if I came in with a gun.
If I came in with a GUN, are you serious? If you came in with a GUN?
And I said, you better stop eating that right now. Would you be able to stop?
The most inappropriate comparison example you could have ever picked, Ashlie Molstad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like telling yourself, I can't stop eating is a lie. You're totally capable of it. And it's great that you have the awareness that I'm using this as a buffer to not feel.
Right.
And I wonder if there's a little bit of like, gosh, I think there could be so many things going on, but
I think there could be so many things going on, but I'm going to guess and not ask any questions because I'm not a licensed clinician. I'm a life coach who pretends to be a licensed clinician. Dear God.
A little bit of what's the point, right? It's like, it's one day I'm not going to binge. What's the point? So that could be going on. Or also if you have a real self-esteem issue, like there's no point in feeling better. I already suck, or I already, like I don't like myself enough to, why would I treat myself well? I'm not worthy of treating myself well. And you tell me what resonates, right? So
that last part. It's like I make so many promises to myself that I don't keep, but I can keep them to other people.
Right.
I think I'm like in this transition of, I used to hate myself and I used to not think I was worthy. And I've done a lot of brain work to be like, I am who I am, and that's okay. If you don't like me, that's fine. Like I've followed you forever, so I've seen your growth, and so I've implemented some of the things I've heard on your podcast.
I have seen and heard really unhealthy pieces of advice come from Ashlie Molstad on her podcast. I'm nervous about the number of people she's impacted, and I hope it's for good.
And I just recently went out and spent a couple $100 on clothes to make me feel better. So I wouldn't say that I hate myself, but there's just this weight is sticking and I don't know why. I don't know.
You don't know why?
Does that make sense?
Your behavior and tone of voice, ring of the assholery. Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm binging, but
you're binging every night. Don't you know why you're gaining weight?
And I'm working out every morning. I go for a 45-minute walk every day. And I'm just like, why can't I get the food under control?
Yeah. I think there's a little bit of muscle memory happening here. So today when you binged, it was because why?
I guess it was overwhelm. Some of it was boredom because I was home today. I wasn't constantly going. I didn't have a few of my kids.
Yeah. I think the email coming on Friday might get into this a little bit more. I think it's Friday, where I talk about kind of emotional eating and naming it. Because we eat for so many reasons other than hunger. Most of us are eating not really for hunger. We're eating because the clock says oh, it's dinner time or it's lunchtime.
You can't always go off of hunger cues. You can go off of energy levels. You can go off of mood changes. You can go off of a drop in your blood sugar because you have maybe forgotten to eat for 10 hours. So many different things. Talk to your registered dietitian. Don't talk to me.
Or we're eating because we have an urge, or, we've got a craving, or we're experiencing something emotional, whatever, right? There's lots of reasons that we eat, and not always is it hunger. And so tell me what's so scary about being bored.
I don't know if there's anything scary about it.
Okay, what's hard about, like, why don't you want to feel boredom?
That is a hard question to answer. Why don't I want to feel boredom? Because I go, for whatever reason, I just go into a dark place.
What does that mean?
I've had a lot of trauma.
Oh, there we go. And did Ashlie find out about this before the call? No, she did not.
And in like the last 3 years, I've stopped the relationship with my mom. So I'm still like waves of grief of like grieving someone that's still very much alive. That's, so it's just a lot of that. Like, so I think it's fear of like thinking of like how my mom's doing, or like I need to be the mom I didn't have and stuff like that.
Okay.
So then it's also sadness?
Yep.
Grief?
Yep.
Okay. What do you feel like you're feeling right now when you think about that? Is it grief or sadness or
Anger?
I've moved away from anger. It's more sadness.
in grief? Yeah. I mean, I've experienced this also, if you followed, you saw.
Yep.
So, grief, very sad. And actually the friend that I was just talking about is the most grief I've ever felt with someone being alive, that's not in my life anymore. And tell me what grief feels like to you. Where is it in your body?
It's like a pit in my stomach, but also comes out as like anger. I yell a lot.
Yeah, but that is because grief is so painful that generally we go to anger. Because it's easier to feel. It's your emotion. A lot of times we go to anger, and there might be some sort of resentment or some perceived rejection. I don't know exactly what happened with your mom, but there could be some like, I wasn't good enough for her, or why wasn't she better for me? There could be like something's wrong with me. Even my mother is, or whatever. I don't know, right? What the story is there.
She doesn't know what the story is there. She could have asked her, but we don't know because Ashley's just going to tell her what the right thing is, or she's going to guess.
All of that is very painful. So we go to anger. Like, what's wrong with her? She shouldn't have done that, right? Like we turn it around on her.
If you have had a traumatic interaction with a close, one of those kind of defining relationships like a parent, I can see how that person would have impacted you for good or for bad. It sounds like from this person that there was trauma there. And now Ash is going to say, oh, but you're going to have to change how you think about your parent and all this other stuff that she said in the first class that we took.
She's a shitty mom or whatever.
Correct.
So it's a pit in your stomach. Would you say it's like, do you feel it anywhere else?
Thinking like I've got a pit in my stomach and I just start crying.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually what happens. And I'll just think about, whatever that moment of grief is. I'm like in my stomach, sad.
Is it heavy, light?
Heavy in my chest.
Heavy in chest. Is it hot, cold? Would you say it has a temperature?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Does it have a color?
No.
This is grief.
Just grief.
We always say like, my biggest fear is public speaking, or my biggest fear is flying or needles or it's like our biggest fear is our own thoughts. I'm so terrified to feel grief. But listen, grief is a pit in your stomach. It's heavy on your chest. It's not hot or cold. There is no color. It's just sort of this feeling. And I need to release it through tears. So I cry. That's grief. Totally tolerable, right? Like you're right now
Feeling grief.
So like actually getting cozy with the emotion that you're feeling. I'm bored. Okay. What does boredom feel like? I'm so bored right now. God, I don't know, that almost for me, that's like a hollowness, like an emptiness, like a vibration. It might also for you, because you're afraid of your brain. Like that's what scares you with boredom, is being with your thoughts. So it might also produce some anxiety, which might give like a jittery sensation. Mm-hmm. Boredom to me, if I'm picturing my boredom, feels kind of cold, maybe gray, right? I'm just feeling this. And I know that I cannot feel this by eating this thing right now. It's going to give me a dopamine hit. And my brain, every time I'm feeling this stuff, it knows seek pleasure, avoid pain. What we do, we go eat the things, right? Muscle memory. The problem with emotional eating.
Didn't we debunk some of this primal brain at the beginning of this stream?
It doesn't eliminate the emotion, right? You don't actually avoid the emotions, you prolong them. I don't want to feel pain, so I'm going to eat, but I'm prolonging the pain. Whereas if you just sit with it, like sit with boredom, sit with grief, overwhelm, like name it, experience, like what is it? Try to get really present. What does this feel like? When I'm feeling overwhelmed, it's like this shaky. I feel that more in my shoulders. I don't know why. I feel like it's like a yellow, like a bright, intense.
Not everyone thinks in color.
It's kind of emotion. It's, I wouldn't say it has a temperature, maybe a little bit warm, right? But like, I'm just like the thing that we're most afraid of is a feeling, right? Like a moment to reject you or to be mean or to be toxic, whatever it is. Like she's not there. So you're not really actually afraid of your mom.
Okay, but she wasn't talking about being afraid of her mom right then. She was talking about the grief of cutting off of a relationship that she misses sometimes because the person's still alive and she knows the healthiest thing for her was to cut off contact. Were you not even listening to her, Ashlie? Come on.
It's like, I'm afraid of grief. And why am I afraid of grief? It feels so painful. I don't want to cry. Why not? Let me just sit with grief. Now, I may still go eat the thing. Even if you only feel it for 60 seconds, delay it by like, feel it though. I want you to like embody this emotion, name it. Where is it? What does it feel like? Hot, cold, light, heavy, you know, all like kind of sensations, and get comfortable with it. This is grief. And then I name it. This is grief. This is boredom. I'm going to eat this thing because I'm bored. I'm going to, you know, eat this thing because I'm overwhelmed. I'm going to eat this thing because I'm afraid of my thoughts. Okay, what are my thoughts? What is the fear here? What's going on? Right. And just like trying to slow down because you're trying to outrun it. It's like this, like, I cannot let myself feel these things. So I gotta like eat. But then it's like added layers of pain because then you beat yourself up for it. And now you're overweight and have low energy and doing something. You said I did a 10-mile trip. Many people might be sore after 10 miles. So I don't, that's maybe not like, but like you're using all these things, it's creating extra negative experience. So it's like compounding your negative experience. When in the moment it gives relief, but ultimately it doesn't. And all you're afraid of is just feeling something. You're totally safe in your body, in your house, in this family.
Yep. That's something I've never done. So that's huge.
Yeah.
Sitting with it.
Yeah, just sitting with it. And like, we're so afraid to feel that. And grief is very painful.
I have a question. For the licensed clinicians who maybe watch my chat. Is it dangerous to recommend people walk through these things that are tied back with like your growing up experiences and the pain potentially that can bubble up and or the traumatic memories that can bubble up when you're sitting with your grief, and you're recommended to do that from a non-licensed clinician?
Like true grief. That's
true grief or fake grief? Like what?
One in therapy I did where I did my EMDR on.
You are not a licensed clinician. You're not a therapist. You're a life coach. And you are bringing in some of these tools that you did in therapy, not that you learned in therapy, that you did, and you're telling other people how to do them. No.
On this friend. And I was really like sad. And I kept coming back to, I'm not important, I don't matter. And then as she works you through, you do like these series of things in EMDR. And then I felt like this release. And this had nothing to do with me. And that was a more painful thought because then I just felt grief. Then it was like, oh, if this had nothing to do with me, now, like, then I can't be mad at her. I can't, like, I'm just deeply sad. I am in grief. And I didn't want to, I was like, I had so much resistance. It is a very painful thing. So of course your brain is going to be like, get some food, girl. We don't want to feel this, but it doesn't actually solve it. It just prolongs.
Yeah. That's so crazy that you said that you did EMDR because I did that as well. And it came to the point, like, I let it all go, and I know she did the best she could. So it's just that grief of it's just so sad. So that's where I'm catching myself. That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
I love that. Cool.
I love that. What?
Number of things that you're trying to outrun, but that's where I would start. Feel the emotions. They're not as scary as we think.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Got this. Thanks for being brave. I'll send you back. We will do maybe one more. I'm going to do, hi. How are you?
Good.
What are we coaching on?
Well, I have been a stay-at-home mom the last 3 years. 2 babies through the pandemic and now toddlers. And I think I've really just lost kind of a sense of self. I'm starting to get back into my career and trying to do some self-growth with that. And it's just leading me to a lot of self-doubt, a lot of lack of confidence. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Okay. So what's coming? So you said you're restarting your career, you're wanting to restart your career, and it's leading to a lot of self-doubt and lack of self-confidence, right?
Yes.
What is it that you're wanting to do?
I am in a kind of a coaching position, a health or mind-body eating profession. I'm going through a program right now for a certification. So I kind of started this program because I did feel kind of I was all consumed by being there with my babies all the time. And I love that. And once I kind of realized I was losing myself, I pursued this. I'm loving it. It's everything I believe in. It's everything that I want to do. I just can't get across that hurdle of believing in myself that I can be successful in it.
So how is that showing up for you? Like, where are you seeing that manifest?
Interacting with other people going through this course, hearing them talk about either where they're at in their careers now or aspirations they have, trying to contribute in this class and express my ideas or, anything like that. I've always been the one not to raise my hand in class. I don't want to be wrong. That goes way back. Yeah.
Okay. So why is it a problem that you're feeling a lack of self-confidence?
I think because I feel like I'm missing a passion or I'm missing something in myself that I want to pursue. And, a career or, providing a service for somebody would be that. And I want to be confident in that. I want to be able to do that.
Okay. And why aren't you?
Because I don't feel the confidence. I feel like.
What is it that's making you not confident though? Like, what is it like, I'm not smart enough? I don't know.
I love it. Yeah. Like what I'm learning, I love the information. I feel like I can internalize it and then be confident sharing it with others. I feel not smart enough. I feel like I'm not going to be successful in a business sense of, doing something.
Okay. Are you giving yourself any credit for the fact that you enrolled in this course, the fact that you raised your hand on this call?
Yeah. This is huge. Yeah. This is major.
And also, but I feel like a lot of it is coming from you're not even acknowledging the things that you have done and the value that you have. And one of the things for me, I also really struggle with being
Another personal example. Ask more questions. Let the client/customer answer, because I'm very loath to say that these people are her clients because she's not qualified to have clients, in my opinion.
new at things. And when I went through this life coach certification, I don't know how long you've been following me, but I was at the top of my previous company.
Oh my God. I'm gonna message the Snark Crew right now. I'm recording a video right now for Ashlie Molstad's class that she's doing for her mindset fuckery. And she's literally lying about not being in Beachbody. She said in my previous company that I was in. You're still in it, Ashlie Molstad. What are you doing? Rage.
And I was like, had a ton of confidence there. And then I'm going into school and I'm going to the certification, and it's, you get on, and there was like 10 people or something in my cohort. And then we had two coaches, and you have to coach in front of people. And I remember the first time I volunteered first. I'm like, oh, I'll coach, right? I had confidence. And then I got corrected, because coaching is very different. The life coaching that I do is very different than like the wellness coaching, right? It's a totally different skill set. And so I got corrected, and she was like, well, this and this and this. And I remember just feeling so embarrassed and like such an idiot. And I had to turn my camera off, and I was crying, and she asked me, what's going on for you? And that's how I realized, like, how I learned about myself. Oh, I don't like being new. I don't like knowing things. I don't like looking like.
Most people experience that. Most people don't want to get something wrong. Here's my thought. As someone who hates messing up, greetings and salutations. My name's DC. The fastest way to get better at something is to get instruction from the person who knows shit, so then you can correct all of the things that you messed up on.
I'm stupid. Where is that coming from? Why does that matter? Where did I get right? And so it's just like then getting really curious and being like, what am I afraid of? If I look stupid, what am I afraid of? And if it's like, I'm afraid I won't be successful, well, how can I guarantee that I won't be successful?
To not do anything.
If I stop, if I don't put myself out there, if I show up from a, insecure place, your actions are going to be like quiet. I'm not going to speak on the calls. I'm going to pull back. I'm going to ruminate in my brain. I'm going to find a bunch of evidence that like, I'm not going to be good. Right. And then of course you're going to produce the result that like, yeah, I'm not successful because I'm not doing any of the things. Versus me having to go into this place of like, it's okay to be new, and it's okay to suck. Like at everything we've ever done, we sucked at it.
Some people don't though. Some people don't suck the first time they make a video. Some people have an easier time finding their lane and then finding a lane that also gets traction in whatever they're doing. She's trying to give generalized examples, except there's like life is so complex and people are so complex that it's an eye roll listening to some of these examples.
We got better. Like anything.
What I'm trying to say is there's hope that you can work hard if you show an inkling of self-awareness in any field for the most part and get better at it for the most part with different jobs.
We're good at, right? Like I even think like parenting. If I could go back, I don't have really any regrets in my life, but if I could go back, I would relive the first year of my first daughter's life because I was so stressed out that I just think I missed so much, I sucked. Now I'm like present, and I'll probably blow my mind with what kind of parent I'll be 5 years from now, right? Driving a car, totally sucked. Terrified. I almost got in a car accident the first time I got on the highway, right? Like terrible. Anything I've ever done that I'm good at, I sucked first. And so when we have this like thought in our brain that because we're not good, that we're not going to be successful, and then we feel insecure, we guarantee our lack of success. This is something that I really had to figure out, again, just mind management. In this pivot, my Instagram engagement started really going down, and I was just getting less people like it. I wasn't growing and all of that stuff. And I remember just feeling really scared. It's like, well, I'm going to be putting this stuff out there. And what if no one likes it? No one resonates with it. And so then I would feel insecure, and then I just wouldn't put the stuff out there, right? And then it's like this self-fulfilling prophecy. If I'm not confident, that's how I show up. Those are the actions that I take. And then I produce results that back up. See, right? No one cares what you have to say. No, it's not going to work. But when I channel, like, what is it? If I can go into my future, if you could go into your future, and I could say crystal ball, magic 8 ball, whatever it is, 5 years from now, guaranteed 6-figure business, 6-figure coaching business. Guarantee. I see it. I don't know how you did it. All I know is 5 years from now, I'm looking, and right here, you've done it. You've done it. How would you feel if you knew with certainty 5 years from now you're running, and maybe it's 1 year from now, whatever, right? But like guaranteed you're running a six-figure, I don't know what your goal is, but let's say it's 6 figures, a six-figure coaching business. How do you feel today now, knowing that's as good as done?
Yeah. Motivated and excited.
Great. And if I'm motivated and excited, and then I get on this call and I make a fool of myself, I can go, oh, it doesn't matter. Like that was a part of it, because look, I'm still 5 years from now running a six-figure coaching business. Yeah. So this was a part of it, right? It's like I just allow and then I show up. I'm like confident in my ability to do this thing, because I'm right. And that, like, I truly believe that we could all achieve anything we want, as long we have to hold the intention.
Oh, for the love
and then we have
of God.
to manage our mind around it. So the thing we can't control is like exactly how it's going to happen and how long it's going to take. But if
you just were talking about a specific like timeline, and now you're saying you can't control how long it's going to take.
You say, I want to have a six-figure coaching business, good as done.
She said earlier, just in case you forgot, that she didn't know if her confidence was going to make it difficult for her to help people, but you just brought in the money. So continue on, Ashlie Molstad.
Because if you believe it, like think about how you would show up if you absolutely knew with certainty that you are running a six-figure coaching business. You're going to put yourself out there. You're going to try new things. You're going to be like, well, that wasn't it. Okay, what else? That thing didn't work. Let me try this thing. Like, I know I'm going to get there because I can see it. I just don't know how yet. And I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know if I hit the six-figure out 1 year. I don't know if it took me all 5. I just know that this is where I'm going. So, all right, let's go, right? Like, I saw this guy talking about if you were given a check for $1 million, $10 million. Let's say you're given a check for $10 million. And you know that you have this money, you take it to the bank, and the bank says, oh, okay, well, this is quite significant. So it's going to take us some time to deposit, like you won't see this for 30 days. For those whole 30 days, you're a different human. You're acting like a completely different human because you know this thing is coming. It's going to be deposited. It's as good as done. It's going to be deposited. And in those 30 days, you're going to be channeling so much more goodness to come into your life because you're acting.
Manifestation? What?
As if it's already here, right? Or another example that he gave was like, let's say you were offered a job and it's your dream job. But they're like, well, we can't start you for 30 days, but or 2 weeks, whatever. But okay, we've offered you the job. This is your salary. You're like, this is amazing. I love it so much. You're going to act so different for those 30 days or the 2 weeks but you haven't even done 1 minute of the job yet. And yet you're acting as if it's true, right? And so I think for me, when doubt creeps in, I'm like, this is the one way to guarantee that I'm going to fail. If I stay in this doubt, and then I play small and I hide myself and I don't put stuff out there and I don't try things and fail and try again and like manage my mind. That's the one way I can guarantee that I'm going to make this thing that I'm afraid of happen, that I'm not going to be successful. But like, if I know I'm going to be successful and I have all the confidence in myself, I'm going to probably fail. I'm going to probably fall on my face. I'm going to be whatever, right?
Oh, God. Yes, I would like to speak to whoever gave Ashlie Molstad her life a coaching certification. Yeah, she's running wild in the grocery store. Yeah, not only that, she has convinced over 700 people to pay her for her course, and she's just spewing fuckery at this point. Thanks so much. Bye.
I'm going to have people say no. I'm going to get rejected. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to look dumb. I'm going to get some yeses. I'm going to get people that thank me. I'm going to get all of these things, right? And that's all just a part of it. I'm going to show, if I know that this is as good as done, I'm going to show up that way. I'm going to show up more confident, and then you're going to take action that is going to produce that kind of result. So that's why it's like, and a lot of times I think when our brain is holding us back, it's because you're about to go to the next level, and the brain does not like change. The brain's like, dude, you're a stay-at-home mom. We're fine. It's fine. You could just be mom. It's fine, right? I think about like, you know, Brooke Castillo, who's the CEO of the Life Coach School. She's
referencing neuroplasticity, and it's defined as the ability of the nervous system to change its activity in response to intrinsic or extrinsic stimuli by reorganizing its structure, functions, or connections after injury. So that's injuries, but I think that it can be additional situations. I don't think it just has to be injury though.
Of the Life Coach School. She always gives the example of a cave. Like you're living in the caveman, right? You're in this cave and your brain has an idea of like, maybe there's another cave out there. And your brain's like, no, this is the best cave. We know all the nooks and crannies. We know the creature. We know the cave. Like we're not leaving this cave. It's like, but let me just go out there and explore another cave. It's your brain's job to put up some obstacles and breaks. It doesn't mean anything. It's what it's supposed to do. It's literally its job, right? I had a friend that was starting a new podcast and she was like fearful of like, what if people didn't listen to that? I'm like, listen, that's your brain's job. Your job now as an intentional being, and that's what this course is, your job now is to focus, because without any effort, your brain's going to offer those doubts. That's just what its job, right? It's scanning for threats. And our threats right now are...
Some people, they are not neurotic. Some people have a low level of neuroticism. I have a high level. So I'm like, my motivation to avoid like the negative things that could happen, high. So like I make a great babysitter. I'm like always looking out for like what could go wrong. Some people aren't wired like that. Some people have like a very low level of it and they're really great like risk takers and stuff like that.
Mostly ego-based. They're not generally life and death. But it's its job to produce these threats. So you, without any effort from you, you know what could go wrong. But you have to intentionally, and call it equal airtime, spend like, if all these noisy thoughts are coming up about how it's not going to work, you got to spend equal airtime on, but like, what if it goes amazing?
Or have a realistic view and say, what are the things that I need to get this to work? Am I able to meet all of like generally the requirements for something to be successful? If I can only do 2 out of the 5, I need to take a realistic view about my ability to achieve something. And if I can do all 5 out of 5, then fantastic. My chances of it succeeding are better than normal. And if I cannot meet the requirements, then maybe I need to take a look and be self-aware and say, maybe this isn't for me. Or you try anyways, in my opinion. What do I know?
What if I don't even know the blessings that are about to come into my life? What if I don't even, I think back to when I started Beachbody and I had no at all confidence or any evidence that I could inspire anybody. Right. But I saw other people doing it and I was just like, well, if them, why not me? If them, why not? And and doubt would come up and you should quit and this is too hard and it's not working. And I would think about it and it's like, but man, why would it be any different for me? If them, why not me? If them, why not me? And what actually manifested for me was like way beyond anything my brain could ever have comprehended. My goal was to make 6 figures and we made multiple 7 figures. Like it was just, and my goal was to influence a couple people. And I had team, at the biggest, I think my team was like 12,000 people, right? It was just like, I could never have dreamed that, but it was totally possible. Back at the starting line, it was just as possible that was going to happen for me as I failed. I just kept going long enough to reach this thing. Like, you don't have any idea how wonderful it could be. And so you have to spend intentional time thinking about, what if it blows you away? What if it changes everything for you? The future hasn't happened yet. You get to make it up. And right now your brain is making up, well, I'm going to fall on my face in failure and it's not going to work. But why are we doing that? The future hasn't, why not create wow, we're going to be rolling in it. I'm going to have so many clients. I don't even know what to do. We're going to have so much money. My husband won't have to work. The kids don't have to worry about, I'll have freedom. It's going to be incredible. It's not going to start that way, but it's going to get there at some point.
How do you know?
Why wouldn't it? I'm willing to work hard. I'm willing to stay committed to this.
There's so many people that are willing to work hard and stay committed and give and give and give and give and give, and it doesn't ever get off the ground, and it's not ever successful. So what are you saying? How do we even get here? What are you even talking about, Ashlie?
I'm passionate about it. I love what I'm doing. I love the impact that I'll be able to make. Why wouldn't it? Of course it's going to work. And of course my brain is going to be a dick along the way.
Yeah.
Nothing's gone wrong here. It's perfect. It's just mind management. Sucks. Again, it'd be nice to have an easy button. But like if we had an easy button, we miss out on the growth journey. And I feel like the growth is such, like right now my motto is I'm a $10 million life coach.
What? You're telling me that licensed clinicians go to school and keep up their continuing education credits and excuse themselves from cases that they have no business being on because they don't have experience, and there's a whole ethical thing that they agree to when they become therapists or licensed clinicians or whatever, and that you are, as a life coach with no governing body to keep any of y'all life coaches in check, are gonna say I'm a $10 million life coach? Ma'am? What the flippity flop's going on?
And I'm not right now. I'm not even $1 million life coach right now. But I know one day I will be. I'll be a $10 million life coach. And it's not my job to know how.
Do the affiliate sales for TrimFit or your commissions from Body or your other affiliate links, do those count into your revenue for your life coaching? I'm just asking. I'm just wondering.
How or when or what that's going to look like. My job is to hold the intention. And I know that if tomorrow someone gave me $10 million, I would miss out on all the growth that I'm supposed to experience.
No, you don't have to go through hard things to be successful.
To become, right? Like I don't want to be a $10 million life coach right now. I feel like I have so much more to do and learn and become, and I need to work with more people, and I need
maybe become a licensed clinician
to experience more things. Like I'm not ready for that. One day I'll be there, right? Like when I was top coach at
live chat and replay crew, we all are realizing that she is still trying to allegedly help her client / customer, and she spent the last 5 minutes talking about herself.
Beachbody, if that would have happened for me in the first year, I would have missed out on so much growth. It would have been an actual travesty.
What travesty? What? Which one?
Like I needed all of the hard shit to become the person that I was meant to be, to become top coach.
What hardships are you talking about? You made a commission and a living off of the financial sacrifices of your downline. What are you talking about, Ashlie?
I'm not ready to be where I want to be yet, right? You're not ready to be your 6-figure coach yet, but you will be. We don't want it overnight. We want it when it's supposed to happen.
Oh my God, this is the worst advice of all time.
And we don't want it to be easy. We think we do, but it robs us of the journey and the growth. And the growth is like the best part. All right.
Yeah. Thank you.
How are you feeling right now?
I mean, like in and out of self-doubt. Like I hear what you're saying and I'm like, yeah, I can envision it. I can envision it. And then self-doubt. And then, yeah, just in and out of it.
So what is the self-doubt?
I've never really liked pushing myself out of my comfort zone. I avoid uncomfortable things. I don't you talk about how you're motivated to go through that process. And I just don't know if I have that motivation to go through that process right now.
What process? The growth process?
Yeah. And
why sign up for this course?
Because I volunteer to get coached.
Then why sign up for this course?
If there, I'm just not there.
Yeah, but you're telling yourself, like, I don't know if I can do it. And what I'm saying is you're doing it.
Have you ever heard a therapist get this pissed off at you?
Actively, right now. You signed up for this course. You signed up for this certification that you're in. You're doing it. And then your brain is saying, I don't know if I can do it while you're doing it.
Ashley's over this. She's ready to be done.
Actively doing it. Like, so there has to be some credit that you're giving yourself. I don't know if I can do this big thing, but I can do this. I signed up for this and that was pretty damn scary. I'm not saying turn over to like the super confident person overnight. You got to live with the doubt. The doubt is supposed to be there right now because it's a part of your growth. I mean, the last 3 years of my life kind of sucked personally. I mean, they were so beautiful and I'm very grateful for them, but they were freaking hard. And I shit on myself like every day, you know, and now I'm like, well, of course I had to do that. It was like, you know, a caterpillar becoming a butterfly. The caterpillar turns to goo first. I feel like I was in goo, like I didn't know where I was. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know how I was going to land. I felt like I kept giving the analogy, I guess, descriptor of the Hunger Games. I think it's the second Hunger Games where they put them in the arena and it's a clock. And have you seen that?
Have you seen that? Oh my God.
I don't remember it. Yeah.
So they go, I do know the concept of the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Then they put all these people in the clock and they find out, like, once the people figure it out, the masters or whatever are like, oh shit, they figured out the clock. So they spin the dial and they send these people just like in a tornado so that they don't know what quadrant they're in, right? Like so they can't outrun the bad things that are coming in that. Anyway, that's where I felt like I was. I felt like I was in the spin for 3 years, like spinning, and I didn't know where I was going to land and who I was going to be on the other side and would I survive it? And, you know, but it's like awful. It's not fun. You're in the goo phase and it sucks, and like, let it suck, but also give yourself some acknowledgement that you signed up for this thing. You signed up for this. You raised your hand to be right. Like, that's very, very brave. Takes a lot of courage. You signed up for something else, not knowing if you're going to be good at it yet. You signed up to be certified. You're investing time and money into this. You're putting yourself out there every time, getting out of your comfort zone. You don't have to know like what the top of the staircase looks like. It's just like, just right now, I just took a few steps and that felt really hard. I'm just going to take the next right one. That's it. It's the next right one. Like, you don't have to have a whole bunch of belief, but just enough to take that next step. And then that next step. And then you'll be able to build on it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I have years of practice of believing in myself. So just, you know, let yourself be in the journey. Let yourself be in the spin. Honestly, one of the things that was really helpful for me when I felt like that overwhelm, that fear almost of like, is this going to work? Did I make the biggest mistake ever? This feels really hard and scary and whatever. And I had a friend that said, Ashlie, you're just in the river of misery right now. And that's another Brooke Castillo term where, but for me, it was cool to visualize, like I was on this island and it felt really safe and I felt really secure. And I knew the island. You knew the island. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I have, did you say 3 kids, 4 kids? But you know, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm on this island. I know this island. And now you're like, but I want to see what else is out there. Like, what other island is out there? And so you're swimming. And for me, it was just like, I felt like I was floundering and I felt like I was lost. She's like, Ashlie, you're just in the river of misery. And that alone for my brain was like, oh, it's not this big, huge, scary thing. I'm just in the river of misery. I'll get out of it. Like, it just felt lighter for me, that thought, right? So like, find a thought that feels just a little bit lighter. It's not fun. The river of misery isn't fun, but it still felt lighter than like, oh my God, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. I feel like I made a big mistake here, right? Which is like, oh, I'm in the river of misery. I'm supposed to feel this right now. I won't be here forever.
Yeah.
This is the worst advice I've ever heard.
I can get on board with that. I think that's more manageable in my mind. Is just, the next step. I can do the next step. And doing the next step, I'm pursuing a bigger dream. I'm pursuing, something that's going to help me find my purpose and my identity as, someone who wants to make a difference. And I think I need a dream. I need to let myself dream that too. I can, right now I can think of the next step, but I think hearing you talk, like really putting some time into dreaming, because
you don't even know what's possible yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you take the next step that feels right and you lean into the growth and the uncomfortability, and also have some faith that even if you're not successful at this wellness coaching thing, it wouldn't be a waste of time because of the growth and the, like, you know, I had to do that when I was thinking like, maybe I'm not going to be a successful life coach, but maybe pursuing this life coach thing. And that was, you know, this is when I was in the river of misery, kind of like trying to figure it out. Now it's as good as done. I will be a successful life coach. But at the time it was like, maybe I'm not going to be a successful life coach, but maybe I had to walk down this path or like swim in this channel to find what I'm supposed to be. Cause I was never going to find it on that island back there. Right. So maybe I'm not going to be a successful life coach, but I see another opportunity, or who I become in the process of becoming this life coach is who this growth would have only been given to me by seeking this out, right? So who you're becoming, even if this doesn't end up being the business that you build, maybe it's going to open another door that you wouldn't have seen before, or maybe you're just going to evolve as a human and, you know, that alone will be worth it. So there could be any number of reasons why you're doing it. And only one of them might be to create this massively successful coaching business. So I think for me also having faith in like, it's not a waste of time. Even if I fail at this, it's still not a waste of time.
Yeah.
Some thoughts. So you just get to play around and see what feels.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I have some thoughts that I want to keep thinking from this.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. I'm going to send you back to attendee. And I think I will end it there because now we're at 15 minutes left in the call. So there was a whole variety and range. Thank you for volunteering to be coached.
Oh my God.
So anyway, I know this is a long call. Try to keep them shorter, but I just want to get to you guys and help your brains. So for all you East Coasters, let's sign off. The replay will be sent out. There'll be a couple more emails this week, and then we'll move into movement next week. And I think that's all I've got. I love you guys. Bye.
There were 3 people. What's our takeaways? Do not wander into the realm of licensed therapy if you're not a licensed therapist. That's my takeaway. My second takeaway is if you're going to try to be some kind of high-paid life coach, maybe you should take notes and remember who you actually are talking to on your calls, and remember the details they tell you when they're telling you about all of their problems that you're supposed to be helping them with. I'm not a fan. I'm not a freaking fan. This is part 2 of potentially 5, 2 of 4 of the classes, and then maybe if y'all like the idea of us reading the emails that I've received so far. I feel like, you know, the live chat and I are like one entity at this point where we're all receiving the emails. I think we should do that, but let me know if you want to do that. Leave it in the comments or leave it over here in the live chat if you're catching this on the premiere. Thank you so much for your support. If you like content like this and want to get all of the Zoom infiltrations and live streams and the sneaky bits, you may want to follow my channel. I'd love for you to subscribe, like this video, go drink something delicious, eat a snack, snuggle your floof if you have one, and I'll see you on the next pre-recorded video or live stream. Toodles!